So today we're moving to the defensive side of Falcons head coaching searches, and we're going to start with Jesse Minter. And this is where the conversation starts to look different, because up to this point in the series, we focused on offensive play callers and how they shape Atlanta's identity on that side of the ball. Jesse Minter represents a defensive-minded candidate, someone who values they come from structures, personnel discipline, and coverage identity rather than constant pressure and chaos. Now that may sound bad and like I'm taking a shot at Jeff Ulbrich, but no, I'm not. I'm just saying fundamentally his defenses are different from what Jeff Ulbrich has called, whether they've been successful or not. And to Jesse Minter's credit, the defenses have been very successful, just like ours have, but they haven't played with an offense as bad as ours, so you already know where that's going. But before we get into the film, we're going to start the same like we always do with the numbers. On the screen, you'll see an infographic breaking down his personnel usage and coverage tendencies with the Chargers from across the last 2 seasons. This gives us a baseline for how his defenses are built and how they, he lives in nickel or dime and what coverages he's comfortable leaning on. And once we establish that foundation, then the tape becomes a lot easier to understand. So let's start with this graphic and get a pause to just check it out. But we're finna go and jump into the film. Let's get into it. Now, what I really like about Jesse Minter and his defenses is that they are extremely well coached. So for this first play, what we're gonna get here, we're gonna be getting smashed on the front side. Okay, so we got the corner route, and then we have the out route. Okay, pretty simple. And then we're going to have this little return route, and then an in cut right here with the running back going wide. All right, so this is essentially like a pure progression, but you could also like cut down on what you're going to read based off of the coverage. So if it was 1 high, you're going to immediately come to this side, but since it's 2 high, you can start over here. All right, but since we know, well, we don't know the coverage, I'm going to tell y'all right now, they're in quarters, right? So that means we're going to have 4 deep defenders. Okay, and that's essentially what it is, but it gets a little bit more complicated. So quarters is a little bit different from the traditional cover 4 if you don't know. So because everything is predicated off of this number 2 receivers. So bare bones of quarters 101, everybody is key in this guy. So if number 2 goes out, the overhang is going to take him, all right, or the apex defender. So since 2 is going this way, he's going to show out first. That's going to free him up because once again, the safeties are also keying him. So let's look at this example right here. So when 2 goes out, he's going to look to go double 1. All right. So it's essentially like reading 2 to 1. So 2 went out, I'm going to go to 1. But if 2 goes vertical, so let's say he does, essentially go vertical, then this overhand is going to deliver him to this safety. The safety is going to carry him all the way, and he can either keep going or settle right here. It just depends on how you coach, because once again, team to team is really different. And once you know the rules of quarters of a certain team, you can start attacking them. All right. And for example, let's say 2 goes under, then you just zone off and you look for work. So once again, for this guy right here, if 2 goes under within 5, he's going to look to 1 because something might be coming in from number 1. Okay, and one way you can beat quarters, in my opinion, is do a Mills concept. So that means you could do this deep in cut right here, and then you can run a skinny post right there, and you can beat it over the top. People say you can't beat quarters over the top. Yes, you can, but the way you would have to hold these guys, because once again, if 2 goes out, and let's say 1 just stays short, then he can go find work. Okay, so you would have to hold him somehow. And me personally, I'd probably do something doing like this where he's going and stopping deep. That way these guys are going to attach them, because remember, at some point in the route depth, these guys are going to be locked on man to man. So let's say this is the route depth that they're going to lock on man to man. He's going to have to stick on this, but that's besides the point. So I won't try to pitch it to the bottom of the screen, because this is where it's like, it's perfect. It's teach tape. Like if any coach is going to use quarters in a coaching clinic, this is how they would do it. All right, because remember what we're getting here, we're going to be getting this little return route, and we're going to be getting this in cut right here, and it's going to be an interception by this guy, because remember 2 wasn't a threat anymore, so he looked to 1. Okay, and so when we watch this play out right here, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Okay, 2 right here, he's going to break out, and so now he's immediately keying 1. Okay, but you can tell he's looking at 2 based off of his helmet, right? And once 2 breaks out, you see his body language shifts a little bit. Now he's looking at number 1 now. Okay, he's kind of ready to break on this, because for one, I know the Houston Texans, they love to split the field in half a lot, and that's where CJ Stroud really, excels, right? Split field concepts, but he's able to really just like, okay, not split field, but pure progression, but he's able to like split it in half and eliminate routes, okay? Because now he's waiting on this, okay? Because the Texans do this a lot. They do this little high-low concept a lot, right? And so he's waiting to trigger on this dig, because he even knows that, like, if he goes over top, it's over, right? But he didn't, because he knows, he watches film. So that's how you know that this defense is well prepared under Jesse Minter, because look at this. As soon as he breaks in, he's beating this receiver to the spot, and that's an interception, okay? That's coaching, that's preparation, that's understanding the details within the coverage, okay? And these guys executed it perfectly right here, and they got a turnover off of it. All right, now this is the next one that's going to show y'all that, like, this team is well coached and they just don't do inexplainable things, okay? So for example, this is the Dolphins play where they got another interception, right? So look, this is what's going on. What we're gonna get, so number one is gonna go short. He's gonna like a little fin route, 5 and in, and then you're gonna get the clear out by number 3, and then this in cut by the number 2 receiver. So you got dagger, kind of like drive. So dagger's right here, and then drive is right there. Then you're gonna get this in cut right here by Tyreek as the number 1 receiver on the backside, okay? So now if you look at the coverage now, you're probably gonna be thinking, this is cover 3 because this guy went here, this guy went there. No, like, the way he can make his coverages look like cover 3. Now, I will say, when you call certain split field coverages, they are supposed to look like cover 3, because cover 3 is the most common coverage, and you want to disguise that cover 3 by making other things like cover 3, but it's really not. So look, that's what I'm talking about right here. So look, what we're gonna get here is a split field coverage. All right, so the way you could figure out a split field coverage when you look on tape is look for the shapes. Okay, you see a box over 3. Okay, now this could be a triangle, but you see the triangle will look kind of weird because these guys, you know, they're kind of aligned weird, but also you have this safety right here. He's working to close the post because he's essentially playing tricks. All right, and also if this was a version of cover 3 or 3 match or whatever, then this guy right here, he would take this guy all the way through, and he's not, because once again, he's running down the middle of the field and this guy's closing the post. He could just kind of sit here and wait on anything because he understands route recognition. Okay, once again, well coached team, because now he's running down the middle of the field and he's gonna let him run past him. He's gonna sit here at the sticks, right? Because they know they're trying to go to the sticks also, right? They're not gonna go deeper than what they need to be. All right, and here comes the in cut right here, and he's gonna be right there in that window. All right, but the play happens there at the bottom of the screen again, where you're gonna get these guys. Once again, these guys are playing super aggressive, okay? Because Tyreek is gonna bang in like this, and he's gonna be all on top of it. He's gonna beat him to the spot. And then if we just look at the rest of how the coverage is playing out, so we pretty much have right here, he's working to the flat. He's kind of playing that outside quarter. He's kind of playing that outside quarter. You could argue that he's playing the half in this cover 9, but I will say it's probably cover 6 based off of how this is. And Derwin James is just being Derwin James, where he's just offering underneath help. But like, it's a lot going on. It could also just be regular quarters, and where they have that adjustment to where he's still playing tricks and he's still going to work under the flat, playing the quarter flat right here. And then once he becomes a threat, he's going to fall off, right? But either way, the play is happening all up here because, for one, 2 is looking this way, okay? And guess what? Remember, like we talked about it earlier, we see that this guy's just sitting here. He's not doing anything. He understands that this in cut is probably coming because this guy's still running down the middle of the field. And so we just play it through a little bit more. You see Tua, he starts to throw to this spot. Look at how he threw. He put his all into that throw. And then boom, it gets intercepted because he gets beat to the spot right here. I said, is that Devon Achane? I thought that was Tyreek. Oh my gosh. That's actually nasty. You threw a deep in cut to a running back. Okay, Tua, that's kind of nasty. But anyways, you see, the point is that these guys, they're well coached, right? They're putting themselves in position right here to make a play. All right. And he's being very aggressive on this. Now that I realize it, like, he looks just like Tyreek running right here, but he's not. And you see, we get but he gets this defense gets a turnover. They call the right coverage at the right time, and they don't beat themselves up. All right, and that's good when you look at a defense, because some defenses beat themselves by being in the wrong position. Okay. All right, and now looking at some of like how they get their sacks. Now, I do want to note that they love to use dime personnel, and I will talk about this in the verdict of what I'm going to make, but like, they do a lot of stunts right here. They cause a lot of chaos up front, and it makes quarterbacks uncomfortable. Like, for example, right here in this play, what we're going to begin here, you're going to get these defensive tackles. They're going to do essentially like a cross dog if the linebackers were to do it. If a linebackers did it, it'd be a cross dog, but they're going to be crossing each other's face, right? But then this guy, he's gonna work inside, and he's gonna go out, and he's gonna go back out again, and you're gonna get this guy on a straight power rush. Like, it's a lot going on right here for an offensive line, and Jesse Minter is gonna always force his offensive line to communicate. All right, and then on the back end, it really helps out too because they're playing tight quarters. Okay, it's what I mean tight quarters is they're just playing the covers tight. Okay, it's nothing really different about the verbiage. All right, but still, you look at what's going on up front, bro, because it's crazy. Ball snap, these guys cross each other. All right, and then this guy takes an inside rush on the left tackle, and now the defensive tackle is going around. Like, it's normal to see one stunt on an offensive line, but multiple in one down is kind of crazy. All right, and also I will say it is Russell Wilson. He is holding the ball. Russell Wilson is known to be a ball holder, but like the coverage and the rush, they work hand in hand. And when you see he gets to the top of his drop, y'all, where can he reliably go? So we know his first read takes him here. This guy's pretty much covered. This guy's not getting open anytime soon. All right. Now, what if he just resets and goes back to this side of the field? All right. You have this corner nailing down. All right. This guy's going to work vertical, and he's delivering him to the safety, who also is over top of him. All right. And then you're going to also have the running back pushing flat, running, or the linebacker take him. Now, one thing about their quarters adjustment. Now, like I said, teams run quarters differently. So right here, you would get a push alert because the running back is aligned this way. So what I mean by push alert is, if this running back is a fast 3, which he is, you will pretty much push the coverage over one, and now he will be responsible for the number 2 and carrying him all the way through. But they play it different. They're just going to say the linebacker carries 3 all the way through. Okay, that's the one adjustment I do see from them, because once again, most teams, they just do a push. All right, but they don't. They're going to say, you linebackers go cover the running back. That makes sense because everything unlocks with this guy right here. I think that's Derwin. I can't tell if that's Derwin James or not, but I think that is Derwin James. But everything revolves around him because you're able to move him around so much. But once again, these stunts up front, they create a lot of chaos, bro. And now we do a lot of this, but I think we do a lot of blitzing too. So we're gonna get manufactured one-on-ones, but I really like what he's doing as far as creativity in his stunts. And then we're gonna get literally the same thing right here. Okay, so you're still gonna get this cross right here where he's gonna go first, and then he's gonna go right here and then go all the way around, or he's gonna take that inside rush, and then you're gonna have this guy just straight do a power rush and compress the pocket. Okay, now offensively, what we're gonna be getting here is a little bit different. So we're gonna be getting dagger by the number 2, number 3. He's gonna get this crossing route right here, then you're gonna get this in cut, and then you're gonna get this clear out, or just this mandatory outside release. Then you're gonna get, I think it's like this short spot route or something, and then the running back is gonna run down the rail. Okay, so you're pretty much just looking 1 high versus 2 high. Fist 1 high, you're gonna work the snag rail. 2 high, you're gonna work this dagger concept. All right, now once again, the rush and coverage go together, and the coverage was pristine with this, just like the rush. All right, so let's look at the rush first. You're still gonna get this stunt by the 2 defensive tackles, and you're gonna still get this inside rush, and you see he's gonna pretty much scare Daniel Jones, like, oh my god. Okay, but this also works because this guy right here, he's just manhandling this left tackle. All right, but then when you pitch it to the coverage, y'all, they're still in their quarters based defense. All right, because once again, or split field coverage, how you want to say it, same difference. All right, you still have your box over 3. Okay, you still got your 4 over 3, and then you still have your triangle over 2, where it's more demonstrative now, because now you can see the 3 guys over the 2 receivers. Okay, and so by this logic, so we already know on the backside of a 3x1, this guy's essentially man-to-man on him, so he's going to take him all the way through. Remember what I said about running backs out of the backfield. If a running back is fast out of the backfield, guess what? The first guy inside has to carry him. So once again, we know Jonathan Taylor's going down that way. Derwin James is going to get him. You're not throwing this on Derwin James. Okay, and then also I want to note that once 1 goes under, this unlocks him to help to the number 3. Okay, so he's playing tricks. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this defense, a lot of moving parts. Okay, and it requires these guys to play free, because now look at this. You see, now he's going to go rob number 3. Okay, he's still carrying over number 2. He's still underneath that passing window. Look at that. Like, look at number 0. This is some good stuff. I can imagine Devon Diablo doing this, where he's seeing 3 went up. but then he already knows I'm going to work back to the middle of the field. And look, he pretty much ran the route for Michael Pittman Jr. Okay, we ain't even got to worry about the number one receiver because we already over top of that. Okay, and his guy's still playing over 2 and 3, and this guy's just getting depth and getting depth and getting depth. And you see, once again, there's really nowhere to go with the football. But even then, let's look at when he gets knocked off his spot right here. So look, he starts to go back right there. Pause. There is nowhere to throw this ball anywhere. Okay, you could probably throw this with some anticipation, but like his head's not around. You probably don't want to throw that, especially because he's right here. He could probably jump that and make a play on the ball, knock it out, intercept it, whatever. But like, there's just nowhere to go with this football, and there's too much chaos going on up front. Like, it's just pristine. This is why I said when we interviewed him, he shoots up to the top of my list because he knows how to coach a defense. Okay, that's what I like about him, and he's a really good job. He does a really good job of coaching up these defenses. Not like Raheem Morris, where he wasn't really a good coordinator and somehow you just lucked into a job. No, Jesse Minter deserves head coaching praise, nods, whatever you want to call it. So when it comes to Jesse Minter, I'll be honest, I think he would make a really strong candidate. You listen to him talk, you listen to how he explains football, and it's very clear that he understands both the what and the why behind what he does. And believe it or not, every coach does not. Some guys, you can tell what they're calling, but they can't always articulate why it works or when it stops working. And Minter clearly can. From a schematic standpoint, what I really like is how sound his defense is. He treats coverages and fronts as standalone tools, and then he mixes and matches them based on situation, personnel, down and distance. It's not gimmicky, it's not chaotic, it's disciplined, and it's really intentional. And that's the kind of defense that holds up over time. Personnel wise, Atlanta will still be a 3-4 team under Minter, but there will be some changes. You need to likely carry more defensive backs, and you'd absolutely need a true nose tackle who can make the structure work up front. A big reason for that is how comfortable he is living in dime personnel, which he does a lot, and it works because he has someone like Derwin James, who is basically the ultimate chess piece. And that's the real question. Do we have that guy? And if Minter believes that someone like Jesse Bates can be that type of versatile piece, deep safety, box defender, nickel, dime backer, then I'm all for it, because if you can replicate that role, the rest of this defense just seamlessly falls into place. And overall, I really like Jesse Minter's scheme, but I might like his mannerisms and approach even more. Out of everyone we've covered so far in this series, he might be the one I'm most impressed from by a pure football intelligence standpoint. And that's really my verdict. But let me know what y'all think. If you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to like, subscribe for more coming at y'all soon. Bye.